Let's continue talking about past lives. In this video, I will talk about planets in aspect to your South Node and what it means for your past life story. My name is Anastasia. I'm a traditional Western astrologer specializing in natal, relationship, and predictive readings. If you enjoy my work, please show your support by leaving a like, a comment, subscribing, and pressing the notification bell. You can also watch more of my content or say thank you by buying me a coffee. I really appreciate every single one of you, and if you're new to my channel, welcome. I hope you enjoy being here. Before we dive in, if you're looking for personal guidance, you have questions that only a one-on-one consultation with a professional astrologer will answer, book a reading at anastasiadoesastrology.com. Like I mentioned in the beginning, I specialize on natal chart readings where I can tell you what your chart promises, what your gifts, talents, strengths are, and what does it say about your perfect career, your love life, etc. I also do relationship readings talking about compatibility and predictive readings where we talk about the year coming up and what it has in store. All of that on my website, anastasiadoesastrology.com. On there, you can also find a variety of products I create. For example, my 2025 planner, helpful tool to navigate your year. It is full of insights about transits, lunar phases, lunar signs, journaling prompts, pages that help you set intentions, and so much more. Anything you need to make your year better. It also makes a perfect present. And you can find a variety of candles I make. For example, my Venus in Libra 2 or 3 are perfect for relationships, for finding a chord, inspiration, and they can be a great remedy for those born with their Venus in Virgo, Scorpio, or Aries, which are signs Venus struggles with struggles in. The nature of the signs is a bit contradictory to the nature of the planet. Or if your natal Venus is in the 12th, 8th, or 6th houses, if it's aspecting Saturn, opposing Mars, etc. So today we're talking about South Node in an aspect to a natal planet. I have done a video talking about your South Node sign and your South Node house. South Node is a karmic point in a natal chart that describes your past life. It also describes the gifts that you carried over into this lifetime, but it is the energy that you're on many levels separating, you're integrating so that you can move in the direction of your North Node. So before we talk about planets in aspect to your South Node, let's first talk about how to find it. And in order to find it, you will go to astro.com, you will select horoscopes and go to extended chart selection. Over there, make sure to click whole sign house and select only major aspects, and then make sure that you have selected descending node. And then you press show the chart. You scroll down and you find the symbol for your South Node or descending node. It kind of looks like a cup, right? And then you move to the aspect table, you find the same symbol, and you see if the South Node is making any aspects. Priority is given to conjunction, but any of these aspects, I would consider looking at. So in this case, we see that South Node is making 2 aspects, one to the Sun and then one to Mercury. And so for you, if this was your chart, I would listen to the Sun and Mercury to understand what does it mean for you. Make sure that you find it. And if you're looking for personal guidance, you want to make sense of it all, you feel like it's confusing, book a reading at anastasiadoesastrology.com. So let's talk about planets conjunct your South Node, starting with the Sun on the South Node. If you have the Sun South Node conjunction, that suggests that your personality has been really well developed in past lifetimes. You would have been a very kind of strong leader, right? You would have spent a lot of time working on your personal strength, on your willpower, your creative energy, your leadership energy, and your visibility. So in past lifetimes, you have done a lot to be in the spotlight. You may have cared for other people, you may have empowered people, right? There's a lot of possibilities, but it might also suggest that you come into this life with this very strong knowledge of who you were, but you don't really know who you are or who you want to become. So with Sun, South Node, there might be a lot of kind of topics of deja vu. There might be people in your life that feel familiar. And oftentimes it starts in childhood, right? When like maybe you grow up in the family that has very strong belief system, or you would have been like put into a certain position and like had certain heavy expectations placed on you that empowered you to once again show up as a leader, show up as a self-driven, self-motivated person, but they might also have slowed you down, right? And like forced you to deal with the same lessons again and again. And so you want to work on the energy of your North Node, right? You want to make sure that you're not just getting stuck in the same role, in the same position, with the same type of people, the same kind of environments. Basically, comfort and familiarity are your enemies in this lifetime. And maybe you're less meant to be like visible and known for what you're doing, and more meant to go within and discover what makes you you. What makes you in this you in this lifetime. If you're looking for personal guidance, book a reading at anastasiadoesastrology.com. We can put all of it together and analyze your, your South Node energy. If you were born with the Moon conjunct South Node, this is likely suggesting very strong karma around mothers and motherhood. And this can show up in a few ways, right? This could mean that you were a parent in this lifetime. You were very much connected to the role of nurturing and taking care of others to a point that maybe you have lost yourself. You maybe lost the ability to, take care of yourself and prioritize your need because you were so focused on the needs of other people. There is also a possibility of a more heavy karmic burden connected to the mother, where you may have hurt your mother in the past. You may have betrayed your mother or your child. And so in this lifetime, you're almost kind of like coming in with this heavier energy around mothers, and you may have a more complicated relationship with your mother, where she's almost like reminding you of that past lifetime experience. So on many levels, you're actually encouraged to try to make it work with your mother. Of course, if it's not completely like difficult and impossible. But yes, there is that lesson of like learning to get along with your mother, or getting along with women, getting closer with these people that maybe you wouldn't otherwise be connected to. You might also be quite moody, because Moon on the South Node indicates like a lot of emotions, but South Node, or Ketu, it's also known in Vedic astrology, is a headless body. So it sometimes doesn't know what to do with these feelings. So learning to deal with women, learning to deal with children and mothers, learning to deal with your own emotions in a healthy way are all lessons here. And on the negative, like if you do overthink things, or you do sort of obsess, you can spin it and obsess in the positive direction. Use your ability to focus on the negative to improve your life and kind of get more plugged into your feelings and the lives of people around you. If you're looking for more guidance, book a reading at anastasiadoesastrology.com. I'd be happy to analyze this and other things and give you more insights about your past life or your future life, right? Your current life. If you were born with Mercury conjunct South Node, this is the soul of a writer. I have this actually. It's a soul of a writer. It's a soul of a speaker. It's a soul of a messenger. It is a sign of you having a lot of knowledge, right? You may carry these sort of like spiritual wisdom within you, and have dreams that have like full of, this is going to be my story, but like I have so many colorful dreams. And I think with this placement, it's like your dreams are almost like memories sometimes of once upon a times and like multiple lifetimes you've lived. With Mercury in your conjunct your South Node, you could have lived a lifetime where you only lived to be like a child, you didn't experience a really long life. Or it could also suggest that in the past lifetime, like you were, like I said, you know, a journalist, a writer, a storyteller, a messenger, a salesperson. Somehow you were facilitating, you were getting along with a lot of people, you were traveling a lot more potentially. And so part of your storyline, part of your mission is finding good ways to integrate this knowledge. You may also notice on kind of a soul level that you don't always enjoy writing as much in this lifetime because you've done it so much in the previous lifetimes. But you still, you know, you still possess a lot of knowledge. And so applying it to telling stories, sharing your wisdom, and perhaps expressing yourself in action, not just through words, is a big lesson here. If you're looking for more, book a reading at Anastasia.astrology.com. We can talk about your past lifetimes or about your current life and your North Node. If you were born with Venus conjunct South Node, this is a sign of being a lover in the past, a lover and a creative individual. You were all about relationships in your past lifetimes. You maybe sacrificed a lot for a relationship. You maybe chased connections and, you know, maybe didn't always know yourself but knew your partner better. So in this lifetime, there might be a lot of dissatisfaction connected to relationships, especially early in life, because you kind of carried over this desire for perfect love, right? And you can keep chasing it, and maybe you meet someone, but they're not quite up to par, so you feel dissatisfied. And that's why, like, you might end up being much happier with your second or third partner, let's say in a second or third marriage, because you're becoming more realistic about what is possible and what is not possible. Can also be a great placement for, you know, like you're on some level with Venus South Node conjunction, you're disengaging from the past lifetime of indulgency, but early in life you might be very indulgent and you might sort of spend money on these expensive things, but then you might often notice that they don't bring you pleasure, and indulgence doesn't bring you pleasure. So on many levels, you're like letting go of these material things and you're actually choosing more spiritual, more communal kind of connections. You're becoming more creative, right? So it's like a past lifetime of either being rich, overindulgent, or overly attached to relationships. And in this lifetime, you're meant to balance it by kind of, you know, giving back and being more generous and not prioritizing other people as much as you are yourself, but also using that generosity of spirit to like give back to others. So it's about balancing, right? Which is Venus is very much known for. If you're looking for personal guidance, book a reading at Anastasia.astrology.com. I'd be happy to analyze your chart, talk about your past lifetimes, or talk about your present life and your gifts and talents, or discuss your year ahead, whatever you're interested in. With Mars conjunct South Node, this is very much a soul of a fighter. Military past lifetimes, a warrior psyche, right? Like you might be a yoga teacher and you're like promoting Zen lifestyle, but you still have this like fighter mentality, or you're working at as a CEO of a large corporation, but you remember, you have like recollection of past battles. Sometimes you might even have like flashes of insight. You meet someone and like they remind you of something from the past, like, or you might think about like how to battle it out with someone. Early in life, you might also take on martial arts and be kind of like attracted to military stories, and I think judging people you meet as like you're my ally or you're my foe immediately off the top of the head, this might be a theme with you. Of course, you know, this past energy, a lot will depend on the sign of your Mars. It might be harder if your Mars is in Cancer or if it's in Taurus or Libra. I actually have exalted Mars and Mars Cazimi candles that can be beautiful for people with these placements, because that's Mars at its fall and detriment. And it's a bit harder to get martial energy out. There might be a lot of suppression until it blows up. But if your Mars is in Capricorn conjunct South Node, you're actually probably quite good at knowing when to express frustration. But still, I think learning to get the levels of Mars right is part of your big missions in this lifetime, because sometimes maybe you over-exercise, you overexert yourself, you put yourself in difficult combative situations, you get in fights, you feel like because of this attitude of like friend or foe, other people read that, other people might feel that, and they might give you back what you're putting out. They might be kind of like end up being opposite to you, or fighting with you, or feeling like you're not quite trusting them, so they don't trust you. So learning to be like less defensive, less aggressive, finding kind of constructive channels for your energy, and not necessarily, like I said, pushing yourself or pushing others away, is a good way to work with this South Node. And practicing also Venusian activities, right, could be good, where you're painting or strolling in the fields, drinking orange juice or something, just like relaxing and trusting other people, asking for help. All of that could be uncomfortable but necessary for you. If you're looking for more guidance, book a reading at anastasiadoesastrology.com. I'd be happy to analyze your chart, talk about your relationship or your year coming up. If you were born with Jupiter in aspect to South Node, conjunct or other aspect, but conjunction is the strongest one, it suggests that you're coming from those lifetimes of being a priest, an astrologer, a judge, a teacher, a guru, right? Jupiter is very spiritual, and so is the South Node. So there is a sense of like in past lifetimes you were guiding people. You were a source of wisdom, a source of knowledge. So you may be coming into this life with a lot of sense of like you remember things, and you also have very strong morals, I think, with this placement, because I'm just stretching a little bit. Stretch. Just gonna roll the shoulders a bit. But yeah, there is definitely a strong sense of wisdom and generosity and compassion, because you have been this guiding light for other people in their past lives, in your past lives. And so at some point you're quite likely to find the spirituality, occult, metaphysical areas of life, yoga, philosophy, and do that in this lifetime as well. There's definitely a lot of like writers, composers, teachers, educators, even songwriters with this placement. So I think the goal might be for you is just making sure that you're having a good balance between like giving to your community and taking care of yourself, and you're not just focusing on other people. If you're looking for more guidance, book a reading at anastasiadoesastrology.com. I'd be happy to analyze your chart, talk about your relationship or your year coming up, all of that on my website. If you were born with Saturn conjunct South Node, or Saturn in aspect to South Node, this is lifetimes of maybe being an outcast or an outsider, lifetimes of being rejected, misunderstood, dealing with obstacles, having to be the dutiful, responsible person, right? Like you know limitations, you know the hard life. It's familiar to you. The danger is, of course, that this memory of past lives translates into this lifetime, and when you encounter some kind of difficulty in this lifetime, it's almost the confirmation of the fact that life is sad and there is no hope and there's no light. So you want to make sure you're not bringing that sort of pessimistic, sarcastic attitude and letting it affect your relationships. The danger might be in like sort of having this rigid attitude where, once again, you see the negatives first, or you become isolated, you detach from other people, you get more stuck in the past and sort of become this like old person that has been crushed by life too much, right, when you're still potentially a young person. And please share, have you had difficult difficult experiences in life if you have this placement, because it's not without a reason, right? You don't get Saturn conjunct South Node and everything is like awesome and fun, but you can use the Saturnian discipline and patience and commitment in order to work on improving your attitude, right? Like reading positive affirmations and trying to work on like remembering happy moments, and also even like putting effort into creating happy moments for yourself so that you don't just let the past define you. You believe that things can and will get better. Please share how this resonates. If you're looking for more, book a reading at anastasiadoesastrology.com. I do relationship, natal, and predictive readings. If you were born with Uranus conjunct your South Node, in the past lifetimes, you were Prometheus. You were someone with unique ideas, probably too early for your time. And other people did not understand you, did not align with you, so you may have felt alone. And in response to them not understanding you, you may have been even more quirky. They called you a crazy person, you dressed like a witch, and were like, okay, this is who I am. You'd call me this, I'm gonna take it a level further. Or you could have been someone with a disability or something physically that made you different, right? On the positive, of course, you could have also been like this brilliant scientist or somebody who was like a revolutionary, someone who has changed the world with their ideas and persevered and like sort of fulfilled their mission. But a lot of times that won't be the case, especially if it's Uranus square the nodes, then you more likely were misunderstood and you had those desires, but you didn't quite reach where you were trying to go. So in this lifetime, you are learning to fulfill your dreams, but you're also learning to be less extremist, less sort of alienating towards people. So, you know, like it is great to be unique and quirky and different, but you want to make sure you're not doing it just to freak people out. So having a good balance is important. And if you're looking for more guidance, book a reading at anastasiadoesastrology.com. I'd be happy to help you understand your chart, yourself, or your relationship. If you were born with Neptune conjunct South Node, this is very much a soul of a spiritual monk slash mystic slash escapist personality, right? So someone who was very giving to other people, somebody who was intuitive and imaginative and creative. Maybe you've written songs in the past, or you've put on shows and plays. You could have had in the past lifetimes, you could have dealt with spirits or been a psychic, been a tarot reader, someone who has been able to traverse the thin veil between our world and the spirit world. So in this lifetime, you come in and you have these memories and you have this knowledge that sometimes it's hard to explain it to other people. Sometimes you may choose to not talk about it because of how people react, because of how some people might be quite narrow-minded and sort of reject you in response to your messages you have to share. There's also a chance with Neptune on the South Node that you are coming from addictive lifetimes where you were losing yourself because you were, doing drugs or drinking or doing a lot of destructive sort of things. So in this lifetime, you're learning to be grounded and you're learning to translate this vision, this intuition, this connection to the spirit world to more practical, sort of real career type things, let's say. Like you're learning to maybe be a professional psychic, or you're working with outcasts, you're actually helping people with addiction. So your gifts can be quite powerful and appreciated in this lifetime as long as you stay grounded, realistic, and also watch out for like victim mentality, because there might be that sense of like being pushed out and misunderstood, and so don't fall too far into like world is just a dark place, what's the point of trying. If you're looking for personal guidance, book a reading at anastasiadoesastrology.com. I'd be happy to analyze and talk about your natal chart, your relationship, or your year to come. If you were born with Pluto conjunct South Node or Pluto in aspect to South Node, this is of course a sign that you have had lifetimes of difficulty. Pluto is not a fun planet. It's like, I'm thinking of this as Persephone being stolen from her happy life on Earth and dragged into Hades, into the underworld, where everything has changed and she's experienced a lot of trauma, and it was like eye-opening, challenging, right? And so for you in the past lifetimes, you probably have been through these difficult experiences, but you may have risen above it, right? Persephone does. She becomes the queen of the underworld, and she negotiates a deal where she spends part of her life above ground and part of her life underground. So learning, so being this person who has tremendous inner power that comes from difficulty, being a very intuitive person, being very good at reading people and excellent at research, excellent at psychology, being a psychotherapist could be great here. Being able to, like, on the negative manipulate people, but on the positive work with people to heal them and to transform their lives. That could be, very strong themes here. And of course, similarly to Saturn, actually, you want to make sure that you're not just leaning too heavily into thinking that life is nothing but the darkness and the trauma and everything is difficult. Try to see the light amongst the darkness. If you're looking for personal guidance, book a reading at Anastasia.astrology.com. I'd be happy to look at your year coming up, talk about your natal chart or your relationship. And let's chat about Chiron in aspect to South Node. Chiron is the wounded healer and South Node is the past. So it's definitely a sign that you may have had lifetimes in which you were wounded, right? You were somehow rejected, somehow an outsider. Maybe your parents rejected you and you grew up seeking love and appreciation. Maybe you had issues in relationships, or you've experienced loss, or there was just a sense of being somehow different, right? Being an outsider and kind of outcast, which is, I've said that already. And so you come into this world wanting to heal yourself and then wanting to heal other people. It is also quite likely that you were a healer in the past, because one of your ways of connecting with people could have been helping them, overcome their difficulties and healing them as a doctor, healing them as a spiritual advisor, as an astrologer, as a psychic. There are a lot of possibilities. And so you can maximize this knowledge of healing in this lifetime, but first you will need to heal yourself. You will need to understand that you're perfect, as this imperfectly flawed human, right? And coming to accept yourself for who you are is a big lesson here, and learning, yes, there's always going to be a room for improvement, but that doesn't mean that you need to be rejected right now. So by working through personal issues, by healing your inner child and your inner self, you can actually become a better healer for other people. If you're looking for personal guidance, book a reading at Anastasia.astrology.com. And thank you for being here. Thank you for watching. Please share any feedback you have, any thoughts. Maybe maybe there's something else you want to add, or you have any ideas for the video topics you'd like me to cover. And I will talk to you very soon. Bye.